covering tonight to do with gene expression from the world's most powerful antioxidant. And here's a picture of yours truly, and I will start the presentation presently. Here's my bio. I graduated in pharmacy in the University of Kansas, and also then subsequently graduated from the University of Kansas as a physician, a doctor of medicine, and I practiced medicine for over 55 years. I was assistant professor of the Department of Family Practice at the University of Kansas. I was chairman of Family and Community and Geriatric Medicine at Oral Roberts University in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've been a member of the American Academy of Family Physicians and the American Medical Association. I was also host of a radio program which was entitled, What's Up, Doc? Now, to get on with tonight's program, I want to present a company called LifeVantage. It's a 9-year-old publicly traded company listed on the stock market as FVN. The CEO is David Brown. It's transitioned from retail sales to direct sales, and it has a record-setting corporate team. They secured plenty of capital to launch this company, and now it is in the program of a network marketing company. And a lot of people say, why would you do that? Well, the first big reason is that it prevents us paying large advertising costs, because we use the greatest advertisement ever discovered, and that is gossip, where one person tells another what they've found that is terrific and they think it might help them. We use that platform. I want to give this disclaimer. Protandim is the product we're focusing on tonight. It's not intended to treat, cure, or prevent any disease. And we want you to see that in large print. It is not intended to treat, cure, or prevent any disease, or diagnose any disease, or mitigate any disease. Now we'll go back to the recent news reports that have been circling recently. You see, I have been interested in genetics for about 5 years. And this article appeared in January 18th, 2008 in Time magazine. And this was the cover. Why DNA isn't your destiny. When people say, well, that's my DNA, that isn't all the story. And this Time magazine article introduced a new type of science called epigenetics. Reveals how the choice you can make can change your genes and those of your kids. In other words, this reveals how the choices you make can change the expression of your genes and those of your children. A lot of people don't believe that, but believe me, this is a solid science that we've known since January 18, 2010 issue. I said 2008, that's when it first started to be talked about. The issue you're looking at is 2010. Okay? So, facts on the process of aging is something we all are involved. If you're aging, I used to tell people, they say, oh, I hate to realize I'm 75 years old. And I always told them when I was practicing medicine, the alternative is worse being 75 years old. The process of it begins scientifically at 25. And between when you then, 25 and 35, you should transition slowly of actual aging process. And at 45, clinical phase of age begins, and at this point, you should seriously consider implementation. You see, the American Medical Association in 2002 stated that to have a healthy food pyramid, today, 2002, it said, you have to supplement, because with the deterioration of our farmland, it has been stated in the U.S. by the World Health Organization, the farmland has decreased 85% in nutrients it once had. when it was full of switchgrass and Indian grass and things like that before the prairie was broken out. At this point, we say you should seriously consider some type of supplementation, and that's backed up by the American Medical Association. The best anti-aging supplemental strategy focuses on the whole body. The main focus of anti-aging always will be the focus of antioxidants. Now, I put this in to show you the wheels of what wheels do you drive. As you can see, the top, you're a baby buggy. And then you get a tricycle. And then you get a bicycle. And then you're old enough to have a car. Then you're a dad and getting bald-headed, and you have a van with your kids in it. And then when you go through the middle crisis of life, you usually get a sports car. And then you start to travel. After you retire, you start to travel with your butane hooked on the back. And then when you get done traveling, you're in your scooter. And then the next phase is when you're being pushed by a nurse in a nursing home. That's the wheels of life. Which wheels do you drive? Which wheels do you want to drive? What's so bad about aging? As we age, our body suffers many disabilities in trying to cope with life today. These are caused by oxidative stress. All of us have it. We can't avoid it. This is caused by, number one, psychological stress. Burning the candle at both ends, which many people are due to the economy. Two, physical stress. Burning the candle at both ends means working more than one job, which will definitely involve into physical stress. And then dietary stress. I just mentioned the World Health Organization said the farmland in the United States had deteriorated 85% in nutrients. And then we have what we call green harvesting. Our produce is harvested green. It's dosed with ethylene gas. The bananas turn yellow. The tomatoes turn red. They're still green. But the key is the nutrients are in those different vegetables do not enter the plant until 48 to 72 hours before they're fully ripe. These plants are halfway across the United States at that time, way before they ever even change color. That's dietary stress, absence of nutrients. Number four, environmental stress, and you've heard lots and lots about that. There's like 10,000 tons of toxicants that are dropped on the earth from the skies by one way or another. Something may happen on the other side of the world, but it goes into the air and will eventually reach us. Like the tsunami in Japan, they're now finding things drifting toward the west coast that show evidence that that's where they originated. So this is the stresses: psychological stress, physical stress, dietary stress, and environmental stress. Oxidative stress. Oxidative stress in our bodies is due to the effects of free radicals damaging our cells. Free radicals damaging our cells. Free radicals are a byproduct for our body's digestion of nutrients with oxygen and water. We can't avoid that. It's the same or similar as the carbon monoxide from the exhausts of our automobiles. The free radicals lack an electron. That's what makes them free radicals, and damage cells in the process of stealing an unneeded electron. And believe me, that power is very, very prominent. Now, what's an antioxidant? To go one farther, the definition of an antioxidant is an agent that inhibits or neutralizes free radicals by the donation of an electron, thereby preventing damage to our cells. 73% of the U.S. population will die prematurely, as will the population in all parts of the world. They will die prematurely due to a deficiency of antioxidant ability or activity in their body. This impacts 200 diseases and involves the top 10 leading causes of death. How genetics impacts age. Now we bring in the whole science of epigenetics, or the new entry into this field of aging, of our genetic inheritance. This plays an important role in defining our risks to most age-related problems. Healthy aging is even more controlled by how we communicate with our genes through our diet and lifestyle. Now get this down. Healthy aging is even more controlled by how we communicate with our genes through our diet and our lifestyle. The importance of food. Protandim made from plant extracts. The body recognizes plant extracts as nutrition. Conclusion, protandim is nutrition for our body in the form of 5 herbs. This is what our body's made to absorb because our ancestors were hunter-gatherers. They went out picking their own produce, and they spent about 12 hours a day selecting their food. Okay? They had ripe produce because they could spot it. And another thing that's interesting to me, the most colorful was what they most likely picked. And the most colorful, red or green or orange or yellow, are the ones with the highest nutrient value. It's kind of interesting the way that was done. Genes versus lifestyle. 30% of your health problems are caused by your genes. 70% of your health problems are caused by your lifestyle, which affects your genes. Okay? Review. Nutrition or nutrients influence gene expression. Unhealthy genes are down-regulated or suppressed when you have healthy nutrition. This is called nutrigenomics. Now, I published a DVD around 5 years ago when this first became evident. And this term was then inaugurated. We've since found that you can have another term, which is epigenetics, meaning it acts quicker. It can affect you in 1 generation. Now, unhealthy genes are down-regulated or suppressed in their function. Wellness-promoting genes are upregulated when you have good nutrition. That's how we live, and that's how we have prevented many things that other people don't, that don't have the healthy nutrition or life. However, we've got a problem now, as I previously mentioned. We don't have the nutrition that we should have. Now, they recognize that in general, people do not have the plant molecules needed by our cells to function properly. Who's they? Nutrition specialists and biochemists and those that are doing research on nutrition. And believe me, there's a lot of it being done. They recognize that in general, people do not have the plant molecules needed by our cells to function properly. And that's brought on very prominently by the fact we switch now to processed foods, which do not have the nutrients in them. Now, protandem. What does the word protandem mean? It means to synergize. Pro, to, tandem, to work in tandem means to synergize. It provides protection against oxidative stress, inflammation, fibrosis, carcinogenesis, other stressful conditions. This is the basis for aging. I could spend a whole night talk about each one of these out, but we're going to go on. The results. By regulating gene expression, protandem instructs our cells to combat these conditions using information encoded in the DNA, which is contained in each and every cell. Now, this has been very prominently proven in October when the University of Colorado published an article involving gene effects of protandem in heart disease, cancer of the colon, and Alzheimer's disease. And I invite anybody who hasn't read that to go to my website, www.docmarvin.com. And those are all that's there, easy to obtain and easy to read. Okay? Now, we've come to some places, and here's an example that we've gone in genetics. This researcher is talking to this other researcher, says focus group was vehemently opposed to genetic altered corn, and we've had that recently, and it's very prominent, and genetically altered wheat, but they love the chocolate-flavored lettuce. Well, let me tell you, I think we can better enjoy unaltered corn and unaltered wheat, and we don't need chocolate-covered or flavored lettuce. But, you know, I heard where there was a researcher in the northern part of the United States that was working on taking the genes out of a firefly and trying to inject it into a hummingbird. And then you could just have a flock of hummingbirds around. You wouldn't have to have electric lights at night outdoors, because you could have hummingbird feeders that would be lampposts, because they would all glow, little bird glow. And I don't know how that's ever came. I haven't seen any of those hummingbirds with genetic imposed DNA from fireflies, but I read the article where they were trying to do that. Okay, back down to earth. Free radicals cause aging and disease. Many diseases are associated with cellular deterioration due to rogue molecules called free radicals. And this picture over here at the right is a very common sight when you have metal outside exposed to sunshine, water, oxygen, and it starts to deteriorate. Think of oxidative stress as similar to the rusting of metal. Of course, our insides don't rust, they age. And high levels of oxidative stress are associated with more than 200 human diseases, including cancer, heart disease, muscular dystrophies, diabetes, liver disease, autism, periodontal disease, and Alzheimer's. Now, Alzheimer's is very much mentioned in that research article published in October of the University of Colorado, as is colon cancer and disease. So I'm just saying what has been published already in scientific publications in molecular medicine. So let's go on. How do we fight against aging? There's two types of antioxidants that neutralize these destructive free radicals. One, there's what we've been using for years, direct antioxidants, which is fruit juices, and as you can see, blueberries and oranges and red wine and all kinds of pills, vitamin C, vitamin E, alpha-lipoic acid, and acai berries, and various other juices and vitamins. Or the other choice is indirect antioxidants that work entirely within the cell, which, by the way, is much more powerful. And there's three enzyme pathways: the superoxide dismutase, the catalase, and the glutathione peroxidase. Now, Dr. Joe McCord, who was instrumental in compiling the ingredients in Protandim, discovered this when he was getting his PhD at Duke University, the superoxide dismutase. By the way, Duke had their 100th year anniversary this last year, and they declared 5 things that the school had done in the 100 years of existence that were outstanding, and one of those 5 was when Dr. Joe McCord discovered superoxide dismutase. But we will go on. You get what you need in antioxidants with our direct juices, fruits, pills, etc. This will give you an idea. We would have to meet the needs for antioxidants in our body, we'd have to consume the antioxidants found in 87 glasses of red wine. That's per day. And let me tell you, folks, if you want to go that way, you won't have any worries about anything. In fact, you won't even know what planet you're on. So that isn't a good route. Or 375 oranges. I can tell you also, unless you've got a very strong right thumbnail or left thumbnail, you're going to have a hard time peeling 375 oranges every day. And besides, I'd say after a week, you're going to fall out on your compliance here, because I don't think you'll keep doing that. Now, you might try to get 11 pounds of blueberries down every day, because they're pretty tasty in the spring. But, you know, your skin probably would start to turn a little blue with all that coloring and juice in you. Or you could go 120 vitamin C 500 milligram capsules or tablets each day. Your body be pretty acidic. because that's ascorbic acid. And that's what you'd have to do to equivalate what you need for the requirement of antioxidants in your body. Now, you have another choice. What really works? Well, you have the oranges, you know, the ones I just mentioned, juices, fruit, and vitamins. These all neutralize free radicals on a one-to-one basis. 1 milligram of the antioxidant will neutralize the equivalent milligram of free radicals. That's one choice. Okay, let's look at the indirect, the ones that I just mentioned. That's the superoxide dismutase, catalase, and peroxidase of glutathione. In that case, 1 milligram of protandem will neutralize 1 million equivalents of free radicals per second, every second, for 13 days. Do you see how this is going to have a hard time catching up? Oh, I didn't tell you. How many of these do you need? In other words, how many antioxidants are needed every day, because we first have to know how many free radicals. I was afraid you would ask. How many free radicals does your body produce every day? Okay, we'll answer that. The answer is 300 sextillion, 300 with 21 zeros. And when you turn the light out and it strikes midnight, you start from 0 and make that much the other day, and the next day, and the next day. This is what it's equivalent to. 300 sextillion. Well, now, can you eat 300 kilograms of a juice, drink a juice, Gigi, Gogi, Gargle juice, whatever its name? You can't drink that much for 1 milligram per milligram. No, it just doesn't work. You're going to be like a toad in a hailstorm. Now, oxidants are one-to-one. Indirect oxidants is our body's own enzymes inside every cell of your body, 1 trillion cells. Now, this compound protandem converts every cell in your body in a manufacturing plant for antioxidant. Direct antioxidants do not effectively neutralize free radicals or lower oxidation in the body. That's a fact. Look at it, believe it, receive it. Okay? So what are we going to do in our pickle? Well, we know this won't work. You can't drink enough of those juices to do it. It's impossible. Okay? Now, as my dad used to say, even if you quit drinking it and join the funnel gang and start pouring it down, you'll drown internally before you get enough to neutralize that. Okay? So that isn't working, and it hasn't worked. Protandem is the only supplement clinically proven. We have 10 clinical research studies published, these peer-reviewed studies. We have 9 universities doing research on protandem. You can't find another supplement where any university is doing research on it with their own money. Now, you can hire a university to do research on your product. We provide the product to do the research. Clinically proved reduce oxidative stress by an average of 40%, slowing down the cell age process to the level of a 20-year-old. And over here we see that before protandem, here's the way your T-bars. This is thibartrate, active acid substances. That's what it stands for. You start those up from 20 years, as I told you, that's when aging starts, and you start building them up in your blood. And when you get up here at 80, you're really high on T-bars. Normal subjects before supplementation with protandem showed an age-dependent increase in T-bars. The levels of T-bars dropped an average of 40% after 30 days of protandem supplementation, and the age-related increase in T-bars virtually disappeared. The effect, we will show you in a minute, was maintained at 120 days with continued protandem use. Okay? Now, who formulated protandem? In 1968, a highlight of Duke University medical history, scientist Ervin Fredovich and graduate student Dr. Joe McCord he's a doctor now, he was then, discovered the enzyme which protects all living things against the toxicity of oxygen. All living things. He launched the study of antioxidants in 1969. He co-discovered free radical biology, nominated 4 times for the Nobel Prize in Medicine. This is the man that's started Protandim. He's the originator of it. Received the Alec Crescent Medal in 1997 for discovering the biology of free radical reactions in living organisms. He's professor of medicine at the University of Colorado presently. Teaches biochemistry. Now, oh yes, Protandim is patented. I want to just show you a previous nutrient I was involved with. Took 9 years to get the patent. We got 1 patent in 07, 1 patent in 08, 1 patent in 09, and 1 patent in 11. That's rapid. Why? Because we have the science to back us up with 29 universities, medical schools and all, doing research on this product at their own expense. We have their studies published. The American Heart Association has published 2 of them, American Heart Journal. Circulation Magazine has published this whole effect of Protandim. Now, I wanted to show you again one of the things about the T-bars. And I'm going to go back and I'll show you. T-bars here increase age. T-bars are a better indication of heart disease than cholesterol is. Better indicator of heart disease than cholesterol is. And I myself, here's what it does with Protandim. Here's what they do with Protandim. I'd be here concerning heart disease. I think most people would, because it is a better predictor of heart disease than cholesterol. Okay, now we'll go back. What is this Alec Crescent Medal? It was awarded to Dr. Genome in 1997. In fact, it has not been awarded since 1997 to anybody else. Other notable recipients are Marie and Barry Curie for radium, Orville and Wilbur Wright for the airplane, Alexander Graham Bell for the telephone, and Henry Ford for the assembly line. If you said car or automobile, you're wrong. It was the assembly line. Summary of the next study on Protandim. Now, you want to get this, and I put you my website, and it's on there, and you can get it on bigbluecalendar.com also. The study was done by the University of Colorado, not associated with Dr. McCord. It involved 3 major diseases. Heart disease, they showed 19 genes identified as the cause of heart disease. Cancer of the colon, 28 genes identified. Alzheimer's disease, 66 genes identified. These affected genes are expressed in a negative manner, causing the disease. Get that. These affected genes are expressed in a negative manner, causing the disease. In each of these diseases, Protandim normalizes this gene expression, allowing the body to overcome the effects of disease and correcting the adverse effects. Read this article. I'm not saying this and making any claims at all. I'm reporting what the 9th study stated in its publication. So don't blame me. Read the article. Now, I'll explain to you what gene expression does. This is one of my favorite slides. Well, here we have a caterpillar, as everybody can recognize. Over here we have a monarch butterfly. They're beautiful and wonderful. They are genetically identical and have their genes on or off depending on the concept of genomics and gene expression. In other words, this one's genes are set for a different expression. This one's genes are set on a different expression, but they're identically, genetically the same. Genetically identical, but different in gene expression. Now, we've known this for a long time, but now we see this happens in humans. Here's a proof of epigenetics, or gene expression. This is 2 identical genetically mice. These 2 genetically identical mice were born of genetically identical mothers who were fed differently in pregnancy, and they will have very different lives. In fact, this one is obese and diabetic. This one is healthy because he was fed correctly. This wasn't. They're genetically the same. Identical mothers were fed different amounts of a substance or nutrient during pregnancy to develop this. This is a wonderful expression of different gene expression. They're identical, but they don't look identical. This is normal weight, totally healthy mouse. This one's sick mouse because his mother was fed in a way intentionally to show this difference. At the time of his birth, he was diabetic. Okay? Now, here's what we go. When we go through life and we get into after 45, as I shared with what aging really is, if we would look at just a section of our genome, we would see that we'd have some of our genes firing this high, some this high. In other words, this is just like a piano out of tune, because these are all supposed to be equally, if you're a healthy person, that have an equal expression. But see what this is, and see what happens. The gene expression here is very, very haphazard because of aging. This person needs their genes tuned, and here is the tuning. Reactive gene expression level with protandem. This is what happens when you take protandem, because you correct the expression of your genes. Correct gene expression. So that will show you the two differences. Here's what it is before, as we get older. Here's what it is after you've tuned up your genes with protandem. And hence the title of my whole presentation, Have You Tuned Your Genome? Okay, so let's go on and see what else we have. Now the 10th clinical study, which I don't have access to yet because it has not been put out in the journal that is published in. It was founded by the NIH. Folks, that's big. That's the National Institute of Health, the highest level of medical standards in the United States is the National Institute of Health in Washington, D.C. This 10th clinical study was funded by the NIH and has not been published as of today in a clinical journal. It will be. It just hasn't been sent out to the recipients of the said journal. Therefore, we do not have the details of the study. We do know that it involves the pulmonary system. We are eagerly awaiting these details. Okay, T-bars. We talked about them previously. Standard for age and starting protandem. The control is the red. And as you can see, we have the control is the red, and with protandem is the blue. And when we start, that's where we all are. 20-year-olds, we have that much T-bars. That's why you see very few heart attacks in 20-year-olds. And one of the main reasons, 40 more, 60 more, and then 80. Now, after you've taken protandem for 1 month, let's look at the same picture. Then, with protandem, the T-bar production dropped at the same spot of a 20-year-old. In other words, in 30 days, protandem drops your rate of aging demonstrated by T-bar formation to that of a 20-year-old or younger. Look at abchealthreport.com, abchealthreport.com, and you'll see that John Quinones, that first tested this as a reporter, didn't go back in 30 days. He went back in 15 days. And it didn't drop him to a 20-year-old. It dropped him to a newborn in 15 days. I want that in my body, and I think you probably would too. But that's what we're talking about. In other words, T-bars with protandem, you cannot tell by checking T-bars the difference between a 20-year-old and 80-year-old. And as I said again, this is a more active predictor of heart disease than cholesterol. T-bars are lowered 40 to 45% in 30 days. And again, I've got written here, it's a better predictor of heart disease and cholesterol. That's why you can better believe I'm taking it and haven't missed a pill since the 24th of March last year. As you can see, this product is a must if you have a family history or a tendency for heart disease. Protandim is the only supplement clinically proven to reduce oxidative stress an average of 40%, slowing down the cell aging process to the level of a 20-year-old, while conventional or direct antioxidants then neutralize only one free radical per molecule. Protandim triggers the creation of an enzyme, and actually there's 3 enzymes, that can each eliminate over 1 million free radicals molecules per second every second for 13 days. I want to just grab the bottle and take another one every time I read that. We have a product in 2 forms. One is a tablet, which I've related as we've gone along. The other is a cream, an anti-aging cream. It utilizes proven benefits of Protandim, fights free radical damage to the skin. Not only that, it repairs the damage from the sun, actinic keratosis. Notably diminishes fine lines and deep wrinkles, stimulates skin renewal, collagen and elastin production, lightens age spots and balances pigmentation, increases skin smoothness and moisturization. And this has been dermatological tested. And for those who have a distributorship, they can go on their website and look. It's 6 pages deep. Look at the second page, and Kimberly Stone, a practicing dermatologist, MD, board certified in Denver, Colorado, gives 2 reports in the second and the third page of that website on her use of this product. Here's a picture I took from a lady. I didn't take the picture, but the picture was given to me. This side of her face, she used the most popular skin preparation used in America that's multi-level marketing. This is where she used it each day. On this side, she used True Science, Protandim. She couldn't wait till the time limit was up, 3 weeks, to stop using this and start smearing it over all of her face, because she could see a definite change in the effects of wrinkles and lack of moisture in her skin. After 3 weeks using True Science twice a day on the left side of her face. And that pretty well says the whole picture. My wife uses True Science instead of makeup and loves it. Additionally, 29 scientific studies of Protandim are underway at leading research institutions involving the most serious health conditions. Now, I couldn't write them all down, but here's some of them. These institutions include Ohio State University, University of Kentucky, University of Minnesota, Harvard University, Virginia Commonwealth, Louisiana State University, Vanderbilt University, Denver Health Medical, University of Florida Center, Denver Health Medical Center, University of Michigan, University of Colorado. Now, that isn't all of them, obviously, but I didn't want to make another slide to give you an idea. Top medical institutions are doing research on this with their own money. That's huge. And let me tell you, you can't find me a medical school that's done any other supplement ever to the extent this has. Okay, trends. What trends do we have? Wellness is the next trillion-dollar industry. We have baby boomers, 76 million people born between 1946 and 1964. The strongest economic demographic, control more than 2/3 of every dollar spent in the United States. Concerned about health issues and anti-aging. Want to look young and feel healthy, anxious about retirement and financial future. Okay, that's what they're interested in. The window of opportunity, the wave is coming. This is the S-curve from the Harvard Business School by Peter Drucker. Okay, this is a typical, when a new product comes out, it either has to change or starts to losing, or it is very effective. If so, it'll keep on going. Well, this one's very effective and it acts fairly quickly. The momentum we haven't even got into. Formulation and pioneering is where we are. And here's where the critical mass will be reached and it'll start up. So if you're interested in this product, here's where you are for a business. Okay? It's a very unique position to be in. 40 years of science, actually 42. 9-year-old company, publicly traded, offering ownership. They have franchises. I call it personal franchising. You can purchase a franchise to do this material. It's a proven product. It works, now available from distributors. Okay? 3 factors of network marketing: being at the right place at the right time, pretty much luck, recognizing the opportunity, making a decision. The fortunes in follow-up. We had a man recently that we talked to that didn't feel a thing for 1 year. But when he did, it saved his life. Very interesting thing. He so believed in science when he saw the science, he stayed with this. Now the follow-up, you can see 48% will follow up 1 time, 24% will follow up 2 times, 14% will follow up 3 times, 12% will follow up 4 times, 6% will follow up 5 times, but 60% of sales are made on the 5th follow-up. Only 6% of the people will follow up this many times. So just remember that. People want to know how much you care before they care how much you know. You know, my dad told me that long years ago. People want to know how much you care. This is a relationship business, folks. You have to develop a relationship with people when you meet them and talk to them. Show them how much you care before they're going to care how much you know. People are persuaded much more by the depth of your conviction than by the height of your logic, no matter what your conviction is. They're more persuaded by the depth of that conviction than by the height of your logic. Thank you. Please get with the person that directed you to this presentation and make a decision to change the way your body fights free radicals and oxidative stress. And if you're looking for a solution to your financial stress, we also can help you. This is the end of my slide presentation, or the beginning of your new life with Protandem. For more information, I have an informational website. This is to not sign people up. This is strictly for information, and it was given to me by a precious couple in Des Moines, Iowa, who did this for me as a favor of some help I'd given a loved one of theirs. It's www.marvin.com, very simple. Or call 816-392-6498 or 913-681-9797 to learn how to obtain this product. Now, if someone sent you to this presentation, you should call them and get with them. If you've never heard of this before and would like to know how to obtain this, here's your numbers: 816-392-6498 or 913-681-9797. It's been a pleasure of mine to have you tonight listen to my presentation. And we still have some minutes, and I'm going to see if there's any questions. Okay. Well, we had all of them primarily. Okay, I don't see anything. Okay, audio is
Doc is good, it says. Doc Marvin comes through. I got a question here somewhere about validity. Let me tell you, we're loaded with validity here. Okay. I don't see it. Well, I need the gene expression, 2 slides. There's many, many slides, Monica, many slides. Okay. Will this be available on DVD? Answer, yes. Thank you, Doc. Love this. How much? Okay, I'm having trouble getting all my questions answered. Is it safe for pregnant women? According to Dr. McCord, it is. Validity. Is there any validity to eat right for your type diet? I think that may have some validity, but our problem isn't that. Our problem is green harvesting. It'll make any difference what you eat for your blood type if you don't have any nutrients in your fruits or vegetables. For example, a tomato, according to an executive in the produce company that I talked to in the San Joaquin Valley in California, where 98% of our produce comes from in the wintertime, said they pick tomatoes 12 days before it changes color. Put them in big plastic bags and fill it with ethylene gas, and in 4 hours they're bright red. And when they Kansas City, they put them out. As you notice, tomatoes that all look the same, they're green. Because if you've seen a vine ripen tomato, it's lobulated, has cracks in it. It's expanded with the nutrition. And therefore, you never see that on shelves in grocery stores. Here's another clue. Look over your produce, and if you don't see any bug spots on them, you don't need it. You don't want it. And here's why. If the bugs won't eat it, you shouldn't eat it. Okay. We talk of the numbers of free radicals as being 3 times 10 to the 23rd. Isn't the truth? That we reduce this to 0, that we would be dead. So what is the truth of how many free radicals we want to reduce? Well, that's a great question about the number of free radicals. And if reduced them all to 0, we would be dead. Absolutely. Well, you have to understand, when you tune your genome with protandem, you elevate the production to what it was when you were a baby or a 20-year-old. 20-year-olds or younger. It will never go higher than that. So you never get rid of all of them. Do babies live? Yes. Do babies live with their free radicals? Yes. You'll never go lower than a 20-year-old or a baby has. So never worry about getting rid of all of them. You're going to get rid of the main ones. Okay, let's see. Bernadette, signed on audio is fine. Okay. Is there any validity? Okay, yes. I'm trying to answer all these questions, folks. I got a lot of compliments here. I'd like to get a baseline on my T-bars. When can I get it tested? Well, you'll have to find a research lab to get your T-bars tested. They've got an inhaled aldehyde or an exhaled aldehyde test. I'm not sure how much validity it has. But I didn't believe I needed to have my T-bars tested. I looked at all the science and all the reports, and I've probably got 650 papers. And everyone said it had been proven by 30 labs to reduce your T-bars to that of a 20-year-old or younger. And because I'm an old fella, I didn't want to wait around to find what my T-bars were. I just believed it and started swallowing the pill. And I ask people now that complain to me about disease, are you on the pill? Now, they don't know which pill I'm talking about. They don't know whether I'm talking about birth pills or something else. Well, I then get to share with them what pill I'm talking about. And, you know, time's a wasting. I know it works. It's been proved by 30 separate labs other than LifeVantage. So I just grabbed the bottle, took the cap off, took the seal off, took the cotton out, and got one of those beautiful yellow pills and put it in my mouth with some food and water and swallowed it. And felt like, boy, I'm helping my body now. How can I access how can I, C-A-N-N, access a replay of this? It will be on DVD, and we'll see what we can do with that. Okay, well, I need the gene. I'm still working on these. Okay. Have you had any experience with anyone with liver cancer? I know people on my Tuesday night call have, but you'll have to call me. I put my phone numbers there on the last slide. You'll call me, and if I can, I'll let you know about that. How about the side effects? There is no side effects. It's health. The side effects of Protandim is health. And you'll have one side effect is you'll have more energy. The other side effect is you'll sleep better. It doesn't have any drug interactions. It has no side effects. And the only contraindication it has is if a person has had a recent organ transplant. You don't want to give them Protandim for a recent organ transplant because it does raise your immunity and may assist in rejection. You don't want to do that. And the only other thing I'd say, you shouldn't have any of these 5 ingredients, which is, you know, milk thistle, bacopa, and green tea, turmeric, and ashwagandha. You don't want to eat any of those an hour before or an hour after you take this little yellow pill. You see what I mean? Because you're going to throw off the ratio of the little yellow pill, and Dr. McCord worked 42 years for that. Any info with asthma with Protandim? Yes, I have a bundle, and you probably better call me so I can share some of those experiences. I have a granddaughter that had asthma. Do you need a test? No, you don't need a test. I'm not going to give anybody a test after tonight's presentation either. We talk of the number. Okay, I already had that one. Okay. How can you tell if T-bars are working? How can you tell if T-bars are working? Hallelujah. You don't want the T-bars working. You want them reduced. And that's what this whole presentation has been about. 30 separate labs have stated any mammal that ingests this pill of Protandim for 30 days, their T-bars will drop to that of a 20-year-old or younger, or 40 to 45% on the average. It's not guaranteed, but it's proven by 30 separate labs, excluding LifeVantage. You know, I don't have to have any more than that. Okay, I think we're getting pretty well down here. Has there been or will there be studies on long-term effects taking Protandim? I hope I'm the candidate. I hope they get this old duffer in Kansas City that's 135 years old, and they test me all they want when that happens, and I'll let them do everything short of an autopsy. So, yeah, there's been, but as far as long-term effects, I had a family doctor call me from Florida, and he says, you know, Doc, after you have a drug on the market, after 4 or 5 years, we find out all the bad things. How long has this been given to humans? I said, well, I got good news for you. Each one of these ingredients have been used for over 2,000 years in India and China. Compare that to anything in your drugstore. 2,000 years. And believe me, if there was any toxicity or side effects or disabling studies found, 29 universities wouldn't be spending their money on it. I have people that say, you know, I found something that I don't think is right about this product. I say, hallelujah, you're smarter than 29 universities. Wow, I want to meet you. I want to see what your IQ is. You must be out of sight in the 6 digits or something. You know, because it's already been tested. And you know what? I've read the science. And if anybody tells you there's no science here, it's the fact they don't know how to interpret science. Okay. If you are in stage 4 cancer, do you take more than 1 pill a day? I give everybody to start with 1 pill a day. And for any other change in how much you take hold of me. How can you tell T-bars are working? Faith, Joan, faith. I know they're working. Now, it only works in mammals. If you happen to have some reptile blood, it may not work. But on all mammals, dogs, cats, horses, cows, anything that's a mammal, it works on. It's been proven. That's enough for me. I know my ancestors don't have any reptilian nature to them, so I just open the bottle, take out the sealer, take out the cotton, take that beautiful yellow pill out there, put it in my mouth with food, and swallow it. Hallelujah. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Have you had any experience with that? No. Yeah, the T-bars are working. T-bars are better. Okay, I think I'm about done. Oh, wait a minute. Here's something on vitamin T. I take 10 units of vitamin D every morning. Good for you. Keep taking that vitamin D. You know, it's good. Are the drug companies trying to copycat this science? Absolutely, Steve. They're trying to copycat it. But you know what? They're so wrapped up in a drug, what they've produced, the 2 products that they've produced, are so toxic they can never be licensed. And we have no toxicity. You know, that's a race worse than the turtle in the hare. We're around the track 3 times before the drug companies can go 6 foot at the present time. So, yeah, the drug company's product, well, I've heard these figures from Dr. McCord. One of their products were 19% effective as Protandim, and the other one was 31%. At the time, on the same scale, Protandim was 137%. So, if you want to take a toxic substance, which you won't because they can't get it licensed, you know, the miracle of pharmacology is if you have a drug that kills everybody, you don't have to worry about the disease you're giving it for. Cyanide works pretty well that way. You just don't have to worry about what the person has if they take something that's that toxic. Okay. What is reasonable? If the gene is always being powered to give off more whatever, won't it finally fail? No. 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 You'll fail because it controls your health. You see, the genes will never fail. You may fail because you won't be healthy. I can't get that one question here. I try and try. Well, let's see if I can get it this way. There it is. Will this lower cholesterol, and if so, how long to wait to do lab work to check? Yes, it will, and who knows how your body reacts. I would probably give it 90 to 100 days to lower your cholesterol. See, the advantage this has, it's non-toxic. it has no toxicity. So, yeah, there's much less done to show. There's much done to show that. Can you put your picture back up? I came on late. Oh, you want to see my face? Goodness, heavens to Murgatory. There it is. Don't faint. Give me some. Please give me some. What? Examples of testimonials regarding what the product has done for the individual. I couldn't begin to tell you all the testimonials. You just have to call me. And you got my phone number. I had it on the screen. And you just call me. And I'll be more than tickled pink to tell you everything I can. Does Protandim lessen or, yeah. Oh boy, read the 9th study where it showed it modulates the 66 genes that causes Alzheimer's, the worst kind of dementia. Read that 9th study, ma'am, or Sherry. Yeah, Sherry, read that. I just pert near had a runaway fit when I read it. Where can I find this presentation online? Well, I don't think it's online yet. Get a hold of me and I'll tell you, because I'll find out from then. Okay? What is the reasonable amount of time someone with normal health challenges can... Well, you see, here's the thing. We had a man on my call last Tuesday night that his doctors discovered the good results, actually, I think a little before he felt the good results. You see, the way you feel has nothing to do with your health. I've had perfectly healthy people that felt wonderful die 24 hours later. 50% of heart attacks people have, the first indication is when they drop dead. Now, from standing to the ground, you don't have much time to call an ambulance. And that's just the way it is. It does work, and it's you give it a reasonable amount of time. I'd give it 120 days. Okay, does this affect rapid heart rate as it is in my family history? Well, it may be genetic. Call me and I'll share some history with you. A person started, and since she has itching all over her body. That's probably getting rid of all of her free radicals. I'd cut down the amount she takes to maybe half a tablet and give it in the morning with food. If that didn't work, dissolve it in water and take it. That will help. Can we combine Protandim with other naturals? Absolutely, Erica. Absolutely we can combine them with whatever you want. It has no interfacing. Well, Protandim and... well, okay, I got that. Well, Protandim keep you awake at night if you take it before. Absolutely. Protandim increases your energy, Mary, and I don't know many people that want to have more energy when they go to bed. So therefore, it makes sense to take it in the morning. You can use your energy in the daytime and go to sleep at night. Now, that's just old common horse sense. I wouldn't take anything that increases my energy when I was trying to sleep. How many radicals, free radicals per minute does Protandim get rid of? Well, let's see. You've got 60 seconds in a minute, and so that would be 60 million. Yeah, 60 million. See, you take 60 minutes times 1 million a second, or 60 seconds, and you get 60 million per minute. Okay, that's pretty good. The one showing red candlestick graph, and the next slide showed green graph. Oh, well, that's just a different way of presenting the same thing. How do I obtain the DVD? Call me. Dr. Marvin, please address the issue of side effects. There is no side effects. except increased energy and better sleep. Now, right at first, you may have some cleansing because you've never had anything to get rid of the amount of free radicals that this does. Info, in fact, call me. Question possible. Keratoacanthoma, or lower lip size of a pea, is 4 weeks in making. Option of biopsy concerns me in the case of spreading on reoccurrence. Do you have experience with cream approving this? I don't have any direct experience, but you may be able to find some. I'll see if I can. Just get a hold of me, and we'll address that issue. Okay? Northeast and Northeast. From Janine in Nebraska. I don't have any questions, Janine. Okay. Only valid medical science is published in PubMed.org. Oh, by the way, thank you, Monica, for sharing that. Go to PubMed.org, PubMed.gov, PubMed.gov, and put in the search panel, Protandim, put in oxidative stress, put oxidative stress dash Protandim, and read away. That's the doctor's place where they see things. What was wrong with the 2-month-old baby you gave Protandim to? Had a genetic problem and needed his genes tuned quickly. Okay. If young children in sports or with injuries will benefit or be fit, yes. Yes, you can give it to young children. It depends on their weight. If you have any questions, call me and I can tell you how much. Where can we get the recorded seminar? Get a hold of me. Let's see. Okay. I've been using Protandim for 9 months and we have okay. Call me about the acanthoma. I haven't seen anybody with a negative side effect. It wasn't due to cleansing. Okay. Yes, I've had experience with Lyme's disease. Get a hold of me because this is running late. Will it be available for replay? I imagine it will. If not, it will be on DVD. Yes, call me, Margaret, about the reversal. Okay. I think that's about it, David. I think we probably better call this quits. I really appreciate everything that you all have done, and let's get that last slide up, and I will put it on for you. So if you do want to get a hold of me, you can. Okay, let's see here. There it is. There's the phone numbers. There's the places you need to do, and I want to say I appreciate everybody listening to the seminar, talking these questions up. I think that's wonderful, and there you can get a hold of me if you need to know any way to get the product or information. First go to this for information, then the phone numbers are both there, 816-392-6498, 913-681-9797. I want to thank you all very much. You've been a great audience. You've been very receptive. And God's blessing upon each and every one of you. And I will see you later at other future endeavors with Protandim. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected.